Welcome.
Fantastic intro. Okay, let's do it again.
Welcome to the Industry Idiots podcast. Turns out you're listening to last week's episode. You can listen to today's episode if you head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/industryidiots. For supporting, you'll get it a week early and access to one Patreon exclusive episode each month. Either way, thank you and enjoy this episode. Bye.
Bye. And actually, hello from my side as well, while Sam is taking a lovely sip of tea, which you can't see, and it's making very nice faces to it.
Yeah, if we
very
would
illustrated.
if we would be living close to each other, we would do video podcasts. So there you go.
I think we actually could, but our webcams are probably not good enough. So we'll save our listeners from our faces and our rooms, which are not as tidy, I think.
But you can see our faces on the Instagram, I guess, and on the podcast cover. So.
Which you should immediately follow, of course.
Immediately, at this very second.
Yeah. At this very second, let's start with a sellout. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's our own thing. And it's not sponsored by anyone, so it's not really a sellout.
Sponsored by our parents mainly.
Yeah. Oh man!
No, fair enough. We're both working, so it's just a little side joke.
Yeah, it's of course just a joke, guys. Sven is totally not funded by his parents. Okay, just so you know.
Totally.
I've had someone come door-to-door marketing earlier that woke me up, and he wanted to sell me new insurance stuff. And dude, I think I've just found the perfect way to market my game. I'm just gonna go door-to-door and annoy people to play my game and become a playtester. There you go.
What kind of insurance did you want to sell to you?
I don't know, some electricity shit.
So you told him immediately to fuck off? Or did you engage into actual conversation and wasted like 15 minutes of his life and then told him, no, sorry.
I wasted 3 minutes of both of our lives. Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Hi, okay, I'm going to hear, you know what? I'm going to hear your sales pitch. Hit me. That's what I said. And his sales pitch was terrible. And then I said, thank you, not interested. Goodbye.
That's actually polite.
Mm-hmm.
You offered him some time and then told him to...
I mean, he's going out in the cold from door to door. I know that job sucks, and he probably doesn't love doing it, so whatever, right?
And payment is probably also connected to how many you convert. So that's an extra hard mode, basically.
That's true. Yeah. What do you think of the Jaime Lannister for Last of Us TV show idea that's going around the internet at the moment?
It is going out of the internet? I haven't heard any rumors about casting.
Oh, no. It's not a casting rumor. It's on Twitter and on Reddit everywhere. People are like, the HBO TV show. The Last of Us TV show on HBO. We need Jaime Lannister as the guy for the father.
Want to make HBO cast him like a positive, not shitstorm, but like fanstorm, basically.
No, fanstorm, definitely, because they have this image of him right next to the character from Last of Us. Please tell me his name. I have not played Last of Us. I don't have a PlayStation.
Well, the character's name is Joel, and you obviously know the actor's name. So
Joel's face right next to. I'm pulling a blank. What's Jamie's name again?
Nikolai Costa-Waldau.
Costa-Waldau. Yeah.
Where's Waldo?
Right next to his face. So, and they look similar. I mean, I keep saying Jamie's range. It's not, his name is not Jamie. It's Nikolai, and I think he has enough range to do the role.
Well, judging from Game of Thrones and all the other Scandinavian movies he did, like Headhunters was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he can be a good fit because Joel's also this kind of grumpy character at times, very distant at first and kind of hot-tempered. But then later on warms up a little bit. I think he could portray that, but I think a lot of fans are also looking for the actors actually looking similar to the game characters, which I think should not happen because it kind of ruins the performance from the motion capture actors and the voices and the in-game models you already grew attached to. So if they do a spin on it, I think they should go into a visual different direction.
Oh, that's interesting. Dude, if that happens, people are gonna have... Dude, if they cast someone who looks completely different, people are gonna lose their shit. You know it's gonna happen.
They will lose their shit, yeah. But that way they can make sure they're not ruining the previous experience.
Oh man, that's a hot take, man. That's a fucking hot take.
But
I don't
but
think
actually
I've-
I'm not.
Yeah, you go for, go for
I'm
it.
not worried about the show because the creators involved. Actually, Neil Druckmann was the writer and creative director of the game, so he's executive producer, and Craig Mazin and his team did a phenomenal job on Chernobyl. So it's in good hands, and now they just gotta execute on the atmosphere of the game and
The only
characters
connection,
justice.
the only connection I have to Neil Druckmann is memeing around with him on Twitter. So there you go. That's that's all I know from him.
It's a deeper connection you can't have with the man. Memeing on Twitter, liking his stuff, retweeting everything.
No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm memeing around, just responding bullshit. But okay, yeah. I mean, I'm still pushing Nikolai. I'm with the fucking flow. With the meme flow. I think he would be great in the role, and I think they can make him distinctive enough. I mean, they still have to stay true to the character. It's important that they're not going too crazy away from the character.
Yeah, but looking at Nikolai and comparing it to Joel, Joel is more like this Southern Texan bear of a man, and Nikolai shows a little bit more like, how do you say it?
Well, he's the classic actor's physique. He's super slim, but ripped.
Yeah, he's a more skinny type, and Joel is more this brute force-ish type of.
All right, then I have the perfect cast, dude. We just get The Rock and put a wig on him.
No, let's diversify all the characters.
We can't, because The Rock is the highest paid actor in Hollywood, so it's probably too expensive for the TV show.
It's half of the series budget, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the entire series budget is going down for fucking The Rock.
But it's interesting to see a lot of fans pushing for their already established fan favorites. I think it's the same thing they did for the Witcher series with Mark Hamill, which they wanted to cast as Vesemir, which I think would probably not have been the best choice.
What? Mark Hamill wasn't a fan favorite? No one knew about him or wanted him before. After the Superman fiasco, no one wanted him before the official, like when he was cast. There was no fan outcry to get fucking Cavill as the Witcher or anyone on the cast.
No, not Henry Cavill. I mean, like Mark Hamill, the Luke Skywalker actor.
Oh my god! Everyone's gonna roll their eyes again. Oh, Sam doesn't know anything about Star Wars,
which is okay.
Yeah.
I'm not judging.
Yeah, I think Mark Hamill. I've seen all the Star Wars. Okay, for the record, I think Mark Hamill is just too kind. You see him and you see this. He's always kind. He looks so nice and kind. And
have you heard his voice acting portfolio? Like, he's been voicing the Joker for like 20 years in various.
Yeah, but his voice is not linked to his looks. He looks like a kind man. And Vesemir he might be kind to
Geralt. He's the father figure to Geralt.
Yeah, he's a father figure, but he's hardened. He's battle hardened. He's. If you read the books, he's. Okay, I'm not gonna embarrass myself. I'm skipping this. Wait.
Yeah, but I think to portray Vesemir in The Witcher, you're gonna need this range, and I think Mark Hamill could have provided that range. But I'm also generally a fan of casting unknown actors in roles, so you don't get disappointed when the actors you are fans of can't deliver on your enormously high expectations you have from the characters. It's the same for The Last of Us. I'd also rather see someone not as like where the face hasn't burned itself into my brain already, where it's too attached to a certain character. I wouldn't want to see Leonardo DiCaprio as Joel or something. You always see the actor and not the character when they get too famous. It's the same for Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman looks exactly like the Joel character, and I wouldn't want Hugh Jackman to play Joel because it's just you want to only see Wolverine all the time.
Ah, okay. I fact checked what I wanted to say, and yes. There's this one story in the books where Vesemir is going to some necromancer cult thing, and there's one monster, and he gets to know this girl, right, Rena, and he has some emotions for her, and she for him, and they cuddle for a bit and whatever. But he's a witcher, so he's infertile and a little bit more removed from emotions than the usual human being in the world. And long story short, spoiler, in the end she dies. So he vows to never leave Kaer Morhen again, which makes him this hardened, scarred individual. And I don't know. I don't think Hamill would have been a good cast for Vesemir.
So, what I was initially worried about adapting The Witcher for TV is that you always have the description of all the Witchers, like they don't show emotions, they don't have emotions and stuff like that. And having characters that are so muted and calm and don't have on paper a lot of range is kind of a risky thing to adapt. But if you actually have someone like Henry Cavill who delivered on the range he needed to pull off, it's not a big range of emotions. There's not a lot of anger or like a lot of tears or sadness, just more this general fuck or something like that. Disgruntled. Turned into a meme itself.
It's like
I
everywhere.
think I saw numerous compilations of where it's like
just 3 minutes of him fucking everywhere. Yeah. Damn, dude. But I
Great
mean,
writing.
the just witches having no emotions in itself is already. I mean, that's not true. It's a myth in world that the humans tell each other that witches do not have emotions, but in reality, they're just most of the time they're just super old and they don't give a fuck anymore. And also, if you've almost died, I think you generally become more removed from emotions because going through the Witcher trials is scarring, to say the least.
Oh yeah, at least from the descriptions. Do you think CDPR is ever gonna do another Witcher?
Well, yeah, they're working on Witcher 4, aren't they? When I check, aren't they?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, there was the Phantom Power button. Yeah. Sven just pressed.
I think I fixed it.
Okay, Sven is still. We're still struggling with our setup. I mean, it's the first few episodes, so there's some interference to be had for sure.
Can I get into the groove?
Yeah, definitely. What were we talking about?
If they're gonna do another game.
Didn't they announce they're doing... Well, back in the day, they announced no more Witcher. But I seem to remember that half a year or something ago, they were talking about making Witcher 4.
I think they not categorically excluded it from the potential, like doing a series game at some point, maybe after Cyberpunk.
Sven, you need to press the button again. For you guys, this will only be quiet. Like when I say push the button, you will not hear anything. But what in reality happens, his microphone just explodes.
Yeah, and Sam's ears die. And
yes,
there has been a cut.
time jump.
Voice recording.
Okay,
I'm not sure what the reason is. When I'm not doing anything with the gear, so never mind.
Yeah, 216. They said no more Witcher, and now I think Andre, the author, has voiced some kind of interest together with CDPR or Project Red that they want to do a Witcher 4, and there's still things to be like they had beef, right? Because they made so much money with this IP and he didn't really get anything. And Project Red said there's still some quarrels to end and
to overcome.
And that kind of means that they want to work together with him again, and probably means Witcher 4, but that's a long stretch, I guess.
Maybe at some point. I mean, if you work for 6 or 7 years on the Cyberpunk IP, which is a long time, spending in one specific setting, like having this cyberpunk and futuristic stuff, even though they have been working like 15 years in the medieval or fantasy realm before, spending another 6 years somewhere else and then getting back to it doesn't sound too bad, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on if you love Middle Ages and if you love fantasy and magic, I don't think that gets old for you, because I've been into D&D for 15 years and it has never died down.
Never gets boring,
Yeah, so I don't think you need to change up, especially if you work for a big studio like CDPR, and I don't know how open Valve, for example, they allow you to work on every game they're working on, not whenever you want, not when they want. That's very cool. But I don't know how CDPR operates. Probably very strict. Like if you're the guy who does the foliage, who does the grass, then you do the grass for 10 years and that's it. Could be. I don't know. I'd like to find out, but we'll see. Maybe at some point we'll get someone from CDPR to come on the podcast.
It's a subtle invitation to anyone who is listening.
Yeah, come in as a guest.
A direct message.
Yeah, or hire us, right? We'll both come in-house podcasters. There you go. And developers, podcast developers.
Totally not desperate.
All right.
Now that you mentioned Valve, are you ready to click the buy button on the Index?
Oh my god, the Index. Dude, I'm a as you know, Sven, I'm a die-hard VR fan. I have been I'm saying fucking a lot today. I've been following the VR hype since the first Vive was announced. And back then, I made a vow to myself. I wrote down on a little piece of paper that you're not going to buy a VR headset until it has almost human field of view. So no fucking scuba diving effect, 130 degrees or more, until it has, because I'm a snob gamer, I want 120 hertz or more, preferably 144 per eye. And I want 2K resolution per eye because I don't want to have any pixels that I can see to pull me out of the immersion. And now with the Index, it has it all, right? It has all my requirements. So I should pull the button. I should press that buy button.
What's keeping you from doing that?
The price tag. It's
the price tag. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
1,000 is like for a very hardcore target audience, actually.
Well, like, I see myself
if you have never owned a VR headset before, you're not gonna spend 1,000 euros or dollars on your first thing, I would say. Even if you are like super committed to the topic, like you are, or are super interested in trying it all out. So what Oculus is doing is actually a great way or a great strategy to introduce a lot more people with a lower price tag to VR. You're gonna go for you can go to the Oculus Go first. It's like 150 euros, and then if that isn't enough for you, you can always upgrade to Quest or Rift, which is like half of what the Index costs. And then if you really enjoy it and if you're really becoming a hardcore fan and spend most of your time gaming in VR, then I think it's you can easily purchase the Index for 1,000 euros. But man, the controllers with the hand recognition and hand controlling are next level.
Dude, but there is a difference between, you mentioned the Oculus Go and there's also the Oculus Quest. I've tried all VR headsets. I mean, we have the VR meetup in Berlin at our university all the time. And just generally, I'm super into VR and I'm friends with many VR developers. And the Quest is cool. The Quest is really cool because the major difference between the Quest, it's lower price point, like 300-400 or something at a lower price point, but comes with sensors, you know? It doesn't have the sensors that are standing like the Index or the Vive do, and where you define your play space. It has built-in sensors so you can walk around and wherever you are is the play space. So, and since the computer is also built into the Quest, you just take the Quest, you go to a public park, you go to your university, into your home, it doesn't matter. It tracks your VR space by itself. You don't need a PC, and you just put in the game you want. Of course, your experience is then bound to smaller games, like, I don't know, Super Hot VR or the
Beat Saber.
Yeah, Beat Saber or all the other million little games. And it will struggle, or it probably can't even really decently play any of the AAA games that are going to come out now.
But the coolest thing is that they introduced the Oculus Link cable option.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So, which turns your mobile headset into actually using your computer power, rendering all the stuff. And then you can still play it with the Oculus. So you could play Alex with the Oculus via Oculus Link. Of course, you won't have as like
the fidelity won't be as good. Yeah,
the fidelity won't be as good, I guess, and also you're lacking the hand controller thing.
No, it doesn't have
with the Index.
It doesn't have 2K resolution per eye, and it only has 90 hertz or something, as far as I know. So snobby.
Snobby, yeah. Do you think it's essential for the maximum enjoyment in VR to have a high frame rate? Because all the topic of motion sickness and stuff like that, if you have a high refresh rate, you probably have double the load on your brain or something like that. I'm not a neuroscientist or something. What's like the first thought you get?
It's actually the other way around.
The intensity.
It's the other way around because motion sickness does not come from computing that your brain has to do in that case, but it comes from asynchronity in what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and what your body thinks you're doing. So it's the same with rail shooters in VR. If you put a VR headset on and you turn your head, you expect the VR world to turn the same speed as you would normally turn when you turn your head in real life. And the lower your refresh rate, the choppier that feels, and that makes you motion sick over time. But the higher the refresh rate, the smoother everything is, every movement is. So the less motion sickness you get. But I do not get motion sickness, so I can't speak from experience. But I do know a lot of people who had motion sickness, and the moment they touched the higher frequency, higher refresh rate headsets, they didn't have any anymore. So that's cool.
Actually pretty nice. I didn't know that would fix the motion sickness problem. That when you have a higher frame rate, that would be completely gone.
Yeah, well,
that would make it a lot more accessible to a lot more people, because I think I've met a lot of people who have this motion sickness thing going on, and which keeps them from actually getting a VR headset. So
I'm sure there's people who, even with the high refresh rates, can't do it. Just as there's people out there who can't ride on a boat because of getting seasick. But the general population who does not easily get motion sick will not get motion sick anymore with the higher refresh rate headsets. And that's cool. And I'm really hyped about this. I don't know if you have tried out there, whoever is listening, if you have tried VR in your life. I hated 3D movies. I kind of love IMAX, but I hated 3D. And when I first heard of VR ages ago, I was thought, okay, how cool can it be? Is this hyped just like 3D was? Is this just empty hype? But do yourself a favor, go anywhere that has a VR headset that is not a mobile VR headset, where there's a mobile phone slid into the front, and just try it out. This is an experience. It's different from anything you've ever experienced. It really is amazing and living up to the hype.
And can't really be replicated by trailers. I mean, most trailers don't actually do the feeling justice, being actually in there, this immersiveness. I mean, when you watch the trailer, you still see the 2D screen in front of you. But if you have the headset, you are actually in what you are watching. It can't be replicated by a trailer in my mind. So the best sales pitch is actually probably bringing a VR headset with you and making people try it out before they can make a judgment or something like that. Do you think there's anything specific that's holding VR back from being the go-to thing every gamer uses?
Well, I've spoken with some people who got the chance to try out the Index, and ever since they touched the Index, they've not been playing any of the other games. And I'm not speaking about those were hardcore gamers. Those were people who played 3,000 hours Counter-Strike, 2,000 hours Dota, and all these competitive games. And this hooks you in uniquely, right? This is not, if you play games like Witcher, you go for the experience. And if you play games like Counter-Strike or whatever games, you go for the sports aspect, the esports aspect. And they said they have not touched any other game but VR games in 300 hours. And for me, this is amazing. And what holds people back from going full VR, 100% price point. Definitely. Getting into the good... People are... Most hardcore or softcore gamers are into fidelity, and getting the high fidelity that you have in your PC and on your monitor requires above €1,000 or dollars, and that's insane.
For me, actually, is next to the price point, not only the price point, it's actually that a lot of VR games, like my main point is always content is king, and if there's content that's acts as a trigger for you, you want that content, you're buying the sufficient hardware you need to play the content. And to a lot of games that don't offer this type of really strong USP that makes me want to, okay, this goes beyond just being stationary, being able to look around 30, 60 degree and have enemies or gameplay objectives come to you. If they actually design the games in a way that like you become a lot more immersed into the world, that you like the locomotion thing, the traversal inside the reality. You want the reality to become real and not just be 2D experience in a 360 fashion. Like being like forced to this small contained space isn't as attractive to being able to walk through the spaces, experience huge open spaces like what Alex and Boneworks have been doing in the last.
Oh yeah,
weeks.
we've had a discussion about this that was very intense. Like Sven was saying, Alex is revolutionizing groundbreaking VR, and I was saying no, they are not introducing new mechanics, they're not introducing new systems, they're not groundbreaking, but they are important for VR because Boneworks already introduced all the systems they're using, like physics in the hands and smooth locomotion. And just for whoever hasn't seen the gameplay footage of Alex, I'm just going to describe the 3 motion systems they showed. And anyone who's seen some VR stuff knows most of it is handled with teleporting. And teleporting takes you out of the immersion. So imagine you're playing VR and you have this box around you, right? That's your room. And now you have this open world or this area where you're fighting in the enemies, and you can only move as far as your room is. And this room is transporting into the game world. So when you reach the edge of your room, how do you progress? And how this is mostly handled is that you point with your finger or whatever, choose a location, you press, and then you teleport there, and then again you can move in your room. But the problem with that is that it takes you out of the immersion. But how do you solve this? I mean, the only real solution is making your VR space bigger. If you play in something like a fucking airplane hangar, yeah, go for it. You can play VR. But how they solved it now, that Boneworks, I think, introduced, and a few other games after, is smooth locomotion. So it's a little bit like a slide or dash.
More like a dash, yeah.
You aim somewhere and you dash there. And it does require you to get used to it. And at the beginning, you'll probably get a little bit sick. But when you've gotten used to it, it's actually super cool. Just imagine in real life, you could look at the other side of the road and you dash over. And this is exactly how it happens and how they do it now in Alex. And Sven is completely right. Content is king. And for people to get into the thing 100%, you need to have content. You need to have AAA games. No one is going to buy a new console. No one is going to buy a VR headset if there's no games supporting it. My ears are exploding. Sven is pressing the button. And if there's no games supporting it, then you're not investing, right? And thankfully, Game Dev Insight, when I was checking through what Ubisoft is currently hiring for, and we were talking with some Ubisoft people and some other AAA studios, they're all working on AAA unannounced VR titles. I mean, you can check it yourself if you go to any of the job pages and you enter Ubisoft or whatever, and VR, you see that they are not for their VR playground shit, but they are hiring for a AAA VR title. And this is 7 or 8 studios are doing this at the moment. So there's more than just Alex coming, and that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of bigger studios. Also Insomniac, I think, also have been doing a lot of the VR stuff with, I think it's called Stormland or Overland or something. I don't know. I don't own it because I don't have a VR set yet. But it's cool to see the bigger studios also trying something out in VR because they are in a position to pull off a much higher and much bigger fidelity of these kind of games, and that goes beyond being this indie arcade experience, where the content is just more like gameplay gimmicky instead of gameplay defining, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I checked up. It's Stormland, definitely. Stormland from Insomniac Games. Haven't seen any footage, but I think it came out already. Maybe it's good. Got to try it out. And speaking of Alex's gameplay, in the second gameplay video, they're in this huge shootout with the Combine. Are they called Combine? And it was Combine Killzone. I don't know. We're shooting. There's a shootout and there's this car. And usually in games, if you see something highlighted or you can press whatever button to interact, then you do that. Yeah? You go there and do that. But in VR, there's nothing. There's no prompts because you can interact with everything. So he goes up to this car being shot at, and the bullets are exploding on the car. And he just takes the car door and holds it in his hand and uses it as a shield. I've done similar things when we were playing paintball. It's amazing even telling your brain after having gamed for 15 years or 20 years or however long you've gamed to change rewire your brain to use the physics and the environment. It's just so amazing.
Well, the one of the most intriguing things from what we saw in the Alex gameplay demo was like the level of interaction with the environment, that you can open up all these different lockers and the ammunition is like spread out through the environment. There was this one shelf where where a lot of stuff like cans and boxes and stuff you could have seen, and then you reach with your hand in there and you push it to the side, then you grab for the ammunition, put this ammunition into the gun. Like this, the amount of interaction with the environment was just insane. And I think what we've already seen in Boneworks, where this amount of interaction with the environment is also this ridiculous amount that you can like solve the puzzles how you would naturally approach them. And there's also this one scene which is in both games where there's the crowbar behind the door, and this crowbar is locking the door, and you pull this crowbar out from behind the door, and then the door opens. And I think they probably reference a lot of their mechanics between these two games in the future.
Refined a lot as well. The biggest problem you face when doing a game like this is immersion breaking stuff, or things that you don't think about that are insanely tedious in VR space. And that is picking up, like, imagine any game where you're a shooter. You have to pick up ammo all the time. How do you make this non-tedious in VR, that you have to run around and duck down every time there's like a stack of ammo? No, they solved it with this telekinetic thing. Like they pull shit towards them, and then it suddenly flies to them like they have the Force from Star Wars. And that's super cool. And such a clean, diegetic, in-world way to solve this. And looks satisfying. I want to play.
It looks super satisfying. But from what we've seen from most of the footage and also Boneworks and stuff, is that they really try to make sure that with every form of controller interaction, it is as accessible as possible. The traversal, with the dash and stuff like that, that you don't have to walk around, make that satisfying. You can pull everything through you, so you don't have to get to the ground all the time. That you like they make everything in a way that makes you, or that puts you in the position that you can stay in VR for a couple of hours and don't get like totally sweaty and worn out after an hour, and you need to stop because it's so taxing on your body and your mind and stuff like that.
But also that's kind of cool that it is taxing. And not for the mind, I guess, because it gives you mental fatigue, but the body fatigue. Well, playing VR every day and being allowed to skip going to the gym or jogging for just one of the times you do that a week, man. Yes, give me
doing the workout in whatever realm you want to do. I mean, I've tried out Beat Saber at the university, and it's like even after playing 5 minutes, you're already starting to sweat. So even that game alone is kind of a workout game. And if you can gamify improving your own body, it's a win-win situation for sure.
Yeah, it is. I've seen another, like last week, I think there was this new trailer from the Amnesia people. Have you seen that? Have you even played the original Amnesia?
Oh, that's way back. But I haven't seen the newest trailer, actually. Oh, wait. Is it the one with the modern setting now? Or at least a more modern setting than this old castle back in the day?
Yeah, a little bit more. It has some metal and some, I think, electricity. And, well, what is surprising to me is that the original Amnesia is 10 years old. 10 years. It came out 2010. And I remember playing it with all my friends back when I was still living in this tiny village in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And we were all gathering together with like 6 or 7 people, and we played Amnesia on a little TV screen. And we enjoyed the studio, I would say. They kind of reinvented horror games. Because if you've played Soma, Soma is absolutely amazing. It's no day goes by where I don't think about the ending of Soma. Ending of Soma is it just changes how you see horror games. And after playing Soma, I think if you've played it, you can agree that all the other clones that just put jump scare after jump scare and blinky hospital lights and all the stuff you're usually used to from horror games and all these little projects, they just pale in comparison. And I'm really excited to see Amnesia Rebirth. And they said on their website they're revolutionizing the frictional horror games, frictional being the studio name. And so I'm looking forward to that. They've also been hiring a lot of engine engineers, so we might see some new tech. I don't know. We'll see.
New tech? Sure, why not? I actually haven't played Soma, so I can't judge what's happening at the ending, but it probably would be a spoiler if you would tell me now. So
yeah, I'm not telling. Yeah,
I'm not. In case I'm gonna play it sometime.
Well, not for you. As I'm doing it for the people. I'm not doing it for you. I would spoiler you in a heartbeat. Yeah, play the game. But it's cool.
I will. Actually, there's some horror games I've played, but I'm not as a big of a horror fan like you probably are in that sense. But I've played the first Outlast, which was pretty cool. And I watched you playing the second Outlast on stream.
Back in my streamer days, yeah. When did Outlast 1 come out? It was after Amnesia, right? They were inspired by them, yeah.
Maybe a couple of years after it. Okay.
I think Outlast is the only respectable Amnesia horror-like game coming after Amnesia. This is a very specific genre, right? They're horror games. You don't really have interaction with the enemy. Like, you cannot kill them. And on paper, this is very frustrating because you want to kill them. And you're thinking, why can't I just take this lantern I'm holding and shove it into this zombie's face? But
a lot of these games capitalize from this powerlessness. Like the complete opposite of what most games do, like empowering the player with all these different mechanics, make you feel like a badass, like in God of War or something, which is not a horror game, of course, but like in Outlast, you just have the camera basically, and all you can do is run away. So they all only put you in the shoes of not being the badass warrior and just make you frightened. But I guess the virtual reality would be a nice platform for horror games. Do you think you could play a lot of horror in VR for a longer time? Like imagine something like Amnesia or Outlast with a virtual reality. That's the next level scary immersiveness. Probably some people are gonna get a heart attack playing that in VR.
Yeah,
experiences
for sure.
like that. I mean, crazy jump scares.
The thing is, I've seen a horror VR demo 3 or 4 years ago. This is one thing that you can do with horror games on PC or anywhere on console, doesn't matter. You can turn away, right? If it's getting too much, you turn away. But this horror game on VR, when a jump scare or something scary happened, they made it so it sticks to your vision. So even if you turn your head, it comes with, and the human instinct is not to close your eyes in these situations, but turn away. So even though you reactively turn away to not pee your pants, it follows, and it's just fucking you up. And if that happens all the time, and the suspense, and now with the 2K per eye resolution and everything's looking super realistic, I think people are going to traumatize themselves playing horror VR games for sure.
Yeah, I mean, also in most games you still have you have the ability to just simply press escape and pause everything. Now imagine you would have the horror thing you can't escape, like you described, or something like Dark Souls, where you also can't pause the thing that's going on to have the intensity up at all times. People are gonna be like out of their minds. Yeah, some VR PTSD coming right there.
Yeah, I see that coming. I have a raspy voice today. Holy moly!
But what have you done?
That's what you get for doing weekly podcasts, right? We're not missing a single podcast, even if we're raspy.
Even if the voice is totally gone, we still keep on talking. Yeah, and when you have been editing or doing the post-production up until 4 a.m. just for you guys, of course.
Oh yeah,
the extra mile.
4 a.m. confirmed. No, it's also cold season, right? I mean, everyone is having a cold, everyone's having flu. Some people are having corona, which is terrible, of course. Hopefully the spread stops soon. And all the conventions that are in the games world, they're all canceled. Everything. GDC, Nintendo,
GDC not
Nvidia,
happening,
everything.
I think one of the few conventions that still was happening is the PAX East. I think this is one of the fewer conventions that they haven't cancelled, but there are 100% more conventions or events coming that are being cancelled. And I think here in Germany, our like Minister of Health, Secretary of Health, just said that all events above 1,000 attendees should outright be cancelled. It's not like what the state makes people do, because it's like, I think, regulated over on a smaller scale. But it's like the general advising or way you should behave is like cancel all events above 1,000, like all the football games, soccer games, all the sports event, all gone. And I think they're gonna cancel even more. There's the German Dev Days coming up in May, I think, and also Gamescom then in August. And hopefully the Corona thing is not going up until August.
Oh my
That would
God,
be terrible.
That would be terrible. I don't want to miss Gamescom. I mean, that's the only big games convention we have in Europe, I would say, that is rivaling E3 and rivaling GDC, the Gamescom. It's very consumer oriented, but half of it is not. Half of it is trade oriented and dev oriented, so it's more attractive to us. Don't want to miss it. It was very cool last time.
One of the few ones that are actually also affordable for indie studios, like the studio you are running.
Oh, yes, we can afford to go there. Yay! Now there's travel funds. If you guys out there are making games or having a studio or whatever, even if you're just a freelancer, your country should have some kind of fund that you can apply for that is just for financing travels. I think there in Europe, there's this European travel fund for interactive media, and you can get like $5,000 to travel, and that would cover like a GDC ticket. GDC tickets are a bit like a 1K. And the flight back and forth is 1K, and the stay is probably going to be 1K over the entire duration. So that would cover a GDC visit. But of course, going to a local convention like the Gamescom for us is cheaper and more affordable.
But I don't think they outright canceled GDC, right? They just postponed it to some unknown summer region. And also there's this, it's super cool to see how all the complete games industry is rallying around the event being cancelled and then trying to set up GoFundMe campaigns for people who are sitting on the cost and now can't attend. And then there's this not GDC conference going on, which is only happening purely online, where they give people a platform who can give their talks and stuff, all the stuff they prepared or pitch online. So they don't miss out on the opportunities to pitch their games.
Yeah, or talk about whatever they were talking about. Because I don't go to GDC to see other games or pitches or whatever. I go or consume GDC talks because I want to learn. I want to get better game dev, better game designer. Because design work is so... with art, you can practice and you see your results directly. With programming, you can practice and you see your results directly. If the player controller works tighter, you have some cool things that you can now build. Cool. But with design work, getting better is so broad, you know? You learn all these ways to communicate designs with documents and flows and all these working like big boards and all the approaches you can do to be a better designer. But how do you improve the mechanics you're building, right? Because you're not building them yourself. You're coming up with them, you're prototyping them, maybe scripting them, and then you give them to your programmers. And then it's a lot of trial and error until you find something that's fun and works.
I mean, most of the games or most of the designs you see are using something that you already have heard of, but try to take a unique spin on it or try to make it better, more polished, more accessible, more responsive,
just more satisfying as well in the feedback.
But they're even giving those types of talks a space on this not GDC thing. So design talks can still happen, but it's like if you watch a video in the GDC world, basically.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, these are just for everyone who's maybe getting into game dev. These are a very good resource for you to get better. It's like, just if you have downtime, if you're cooking, whatever, watch a GDC talk. Even if you're a programmer and you're watching a design talk, do it. because learning things from the different disciplines in the games world will always benefit you, even if it's not your category, because you take so much knowledge from all forms of entertainment, all forms of working into game dev. Can only help you.
And on the YouTube channel, it's completely free. I mean, the GDC Vault is paid, of course, but the YouTube channel, even though having only maybe 5 or 10% of all the videos you can exit, there's still like 1,000 videos or something. And I completely agree on what you said. I'm always using these videos on my way to work or when I have a long train ride somewhere. Not necessarily always listen to music. I download some GDC talk and watch it on my tablet or stuff like that. It's a very, very convenient way to learn because the self-improvement thing is what I'm getting most out of these videos. Even the postmortems, I find myself being the most interesting ones because there they also not only share what they did right, because they also share what they did wrong. And from failure, learning from failure is like everyone knows, learning from failure is probably the best way to learn.
Yeah, and it's actually a problem with that mindset in Germany, I feel. Americans are so open about their failure and they don't care, and I love that. And for me, failure is just really learning. And if someone fucks up in the company or whatever, you don't fire them, right? If someone fails, it's even easier like to learn from it and get better. And I think that's amazing. And in Germany, we're still in this mindset that failure shouldn't happen. You know, there's this you're not allowed to fail. You just do things right. And I'm glad that slowly but surely the mindset from the international mindset from it's okay to fail, learn from your failures, is the one that is being adapted here as well.
I mean, if you made an error, chances are that you won't do it again. If you are in a space that lets it happen, that lets you experience all the downsides of it, so you can see for yourself why it was bad that it happened. But now you know how to do it better because you saw it firsthand going down or going to shit.
Basically. And now a company leadership psychological for you out there. It just makes you feel good in your workplace if you're also still loved, I would say, when you fail and supported through like solving the fail and getting better. There's someone hammering
someone hammering on your wall.
Yeah,
I even heard that.
Yeah. Wow.
What's going on there next to you?
I don't know. They're building a little tiny crib or something for their baby. I don't know. It could be anything. Maybe they're building a gaming PC. Can't hate on them.
No.
You never know. Yeah, what were we talking about? A failure. Yeah, okay. Enough talking about failure.
And company culture in general.
Yeah. And that's
true.
How did we get to talking about failure? What was the...
From like learning from the GDC videos and talks. And having the super supportive game development environment where everyone, which is mind-blowing to me, that it's not like every other industry where like business advantages or some cool technology is being held secretive to get a market advantage.
Yes.
In the gaming community, it's insane how open the people are and like excited about sharing. Oh, look what cool tech we used. You can use it too here. That's how we done it. And it's like the willingness to share accomplishments and to share knowledge is insane compared to all the other different industries.
It reminds me of one of the best GDC talks for me personally I have listened to, like non-AAA ones, is the one from the creative director of Darkest Dungeon. Is it? I think it was a GDC talk. It was definitely a video where he talks about why a small studio needs a creative director in the first place. And since this is literally my life right now, 9-people studio, and I'm the creative director, and it's just in this video he talks about all the struggles I'm facing as well. Just
Can you name a few?
Well, apart from what is my day to day, apart from design work, of course, and combat designing and all that, and balancing and narrative and day to day business managing, what does a creative director even do, right? If some of you guys have seen Mythic Quest, the fucking amazing TV show
I haven't seen it yet. I have to watch it.
You have to watch it. It's made by the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia guys, and it's about a creative director in a AAA studio, and it's hilarious. and it has so many stereotypes that I found to apply to myself, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad, but the problems you're facing is, what is your job? You are this beacon in the dark, right? You are this vision, you have this vision, you hold this vision, and you want to make people do this vision and inspire them to do it and have fun doing it. But also, on the other hand, this is the duality. You want people to feel like, and you want it to be the reality, that it's also their baby and not your thing, not only your vision. So this is a very, very tight rope to walk on, to make people love their own project and feel like they're part of the project, but also still respect you and your vision, and that the game becomes the best it can be. So it's kind of a slippery slope, but we're making it work, and it's a lot of fun, and we're all playing off of each other. And as long as you've got your hands in the trenches as any kind of leader, and you're also working next eye to eye next to you, the people working with you, I think you're gonna be fine.
That reminds me really of the Game Maker's Notebook talk Ted Price had with Stig Asmussen from the Jedi Fallen Order team, where he also mentioned that if the team is failing, it's his responsibility.
Oh, I know how this ends.
He owns up for failure, and if the game or the undertaking is successful, he gives all the credit, or the credit lies within the team. Like, the team gets the recognition for the success, and he gets the recognition for, or takes the responsibility for the failure.
Yeah, that's my favorite notebook, actually. He says if the team, just like you said, if the team is responsible for our if we succeed, and I'm responsible if we fail. And I think this is a very good mindset to have. And of course, don't be too harsh on yourself, but it's a good mindset to have, to understand the dynamics of what's going on in a team. And also check out Game Maker's Notebook. I love Insomniac.
Podcast.
Yeah, I love Insomniac. I just want to work at the studio once in my life or something. But Ted Price is awesome. He has been in the industry forever. I grew up with Ratchet and Clank, one of my favorite games of all time. My nickname online is Slank, and my brother's nickname is Jedget. So we are Jedget and Slank.
That's where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's where our nicknames come from. We've had those for years, and it's one of the reasons why I'm a game dev in the first place. And now they've reinvented the studio, making Spider-Man, right? And it's super cool. It's like, listen to this podcast. He's just constantly interviewing super high-profile guests, and you can learn a lot from listening to it.
And there are like 50 episodes already. They've been doing like for 2 years. So it's a very insightful stuff. And the Stig Asmussen interview actually goes directly against what Mythic Quest is trying to make fun of. This having this creative director, big ego type, stereotype thing, where it's more like a creative dictator than a creative director.
And you have to be.
It's always the bad way to have in the studio.
I don't think that's the way that people actually do it out there in the world. I mean, that's why they're making fun of it. It might have been the case at some point, or it probably still is in some studios, but I don't think a creative director goes around and says, I want this to be exactly that way. It's more like he nudges people, like, I want the player to experience or feel this way. How can we make this happen together? And then the team comes up with a nice idea, and then it goes through a lot of iterations, and you're just the final call to feel like, yeah, okay, this really goes into the right direction. Let's focus on this and make it happen. It's not like, I have this specific mechanic in mind, make it.
No, like giving the employees the chance, or putting them in the shoes to make them solve the problems that need to be faced, like gives them a lot more like connection and ownership of the whole thing. And then probably everyone gets even more motivated to make it the best it can be. If you are put in charge of it, of course, you're going to care differently for it than you think it's someone else's baby. Yeah. That makes sense.
No, 100%. But I guess the dynamic is also completely different in AAA. You don't work at AAA because it's your idea. Like, if you want to enter, let's just take CDPR. If you want to enter CDPR to work on Witcher, there's nothing that you came up with in this. That you didn't write the books, you didn't, come up with the game ideas. But the thing is, to still make some part of you be part of that is the cool feeling. And to have this huge AAA game that everyone knows, everyone has, and then they counter this one quest that you made completely. and then this is very cool, and you still get your small experiences of your character that you put into the project, while of course being under the vision and with upholding the vision of the project, and being coherent. But you still have your little thing in that huge thing, and that's cool, and that's also very motivating, I think.
Yeah, sure. The getting recognition from something is always motivating, but I think people should watch out and not do a thing only for the result. They should be also enjoying the process while making it, and not trying to do something for the amount of love or recognition it might provide you with once you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Good
sounds
analogy.
kind of unhealthy to me.
Yeah, it's a good analogy for our podcast. We're not doing this to gain anything from it. We're just doing it because we're talking shit all day anyway. So might as well record it and have fun and share some insight. And I think the biggest and most overlooked reason why people should and are going to AAA is so they can learn. Because you enter a studio and there's 100 people around you. They're all better than you, and they all know different things. And you can, like, there's this common quote: if you're in a room and everyone is, and not everyone is better than you're in the wrong room, right? Because you want to learn and you want to improve yourself as a human, and you want to improve your skills in the workforce. And so that's the best place to be to increase skills, I guess.
Do you think there can actually be a place where there's the perfect balance between people still needing to learn? And I mean, it's kind of an infinite cycle. If there's people who are already super experienced also look for people who are super experienced, they won't find it at the same place with the people who are there to learn from themselves. So that would naturally, like in theory, make people switch all the time, jump from studio to studio. But I think it's way more healthy if you can put in place some kind of structure where even these people stay at your studio, but still have room to improve themselves and grow themselves.
I mean, there's a lot of external and internal motivators you can do for people to stay. I guess if you're just talking about senior level people staying, from money to like specific. There's even things that funnily enough, building in dark patterns into your company structure. Like if you reward employees for staying 15 years, I mean, this is what should be done, right? You want to reward your employees for staying 15 years. You want to give them something special. But it also, like on paper, it's a dark pattern, because when they're 13 years and there's something that's like super what they want to do, and they want to change studios maybe, but there's like, oh man, if I stay 2 more years, I get this cool 15-year thing. Ah, damn it, I'm gonna stay. And this is one of the you can do a million things to motivate people, but too long didn't read. Build an awesome environment where people are happy in, and they'll stay by themselves. You don't need to force or motivate anyone.
Speaking of a dark pattern motivating your people to stay at the studio, there's this one controversial thing with Rockstar where when you leave a project before its completion, you're not being mentioned in the credits.
Wait, is that a real thing?
That is a real thing. At least I think I read it on Kotaku or some other site. It's like it happened during the production of Red Dead Redemption 2. And there they had like, if you have a game that takes forever to complete, like 7 or 8 years, like Red Dead Redemption 2, and you can't really expect people to, in this modern culture, to stay at a company for more than 5 years, even at least not when they're not settled down with a family or have kids already or something like that. If you have young employees, they are more bound to stay at a place for 3 years at most of the time.
Let's not burn Rockstar, because I can't find any info on that, but let's just say if some studio out there is doing this, not putting your name in the credits because you leave before end of production, that's a dick move. In bird culture, we call that a dick move. Yeah, no. If someone, I mean, there is a level, of course, just like with movies. I think with games, it's even, games are putting everyone in the credits, at least indie games. AAA titles, I understand if you're only there for a week and you supply like one line of text, people will, there's probably people out there who will hate me for this, or who will vehemently disagree, but then you shouldn't be in the credits. you should have some impact on the game and showed some commitment to the project to be in the credits.
Well, what's the threshold you're gonna reach?
Yeah, that's
to
a
be
good.
eligible for being worthy of being credited.
Well, that's a good question, actually.
It's probably also impossible to answer.
Funnily enough, in our studio, we do it not based on that, what I just said, but we put everyone in the credits. Everyone who helped, even a tiny bit. Maybe that is the healthiest way. Maybe that is the best way, because no one has ever complained, and we put everyone in there. We put the playtesters in there who even just played the game once or for an hour. We put people in there who had a cool idea, that were talking with us out of office and just over a beer had a cool idea. We put that idea in the game, or we use that idea to come up with our own shit, and we put them in the credits. I mean, I think that's just a healthy thing, and no one is hurt by being acknowledged and respected. So
yeah, give credit where credit is due.
Yeah,
100% agree.
So maybe I'm retracting my statement about AAA credits as well. Just put everyone in there, you mad lads.
Mad lads, yes.
But if they do that, I mean, there's already, like, look at the Witcher credits. There's 5,000 people mentioned there. And if they start mentioning people that had a beer with the creative director and told him some cool idea, and he tells his team, then the list is probably like 100,000 people. It's like this net of people branching out everywhere.
But it's not like credits are never made to watch all of it. I mean, 99% of players probably skip the credits and don't even look at it. It's more like a personal way or a company way of showing appreciation to the work you've contributed, and like getting this public recognition from, oh, I'm in the credits. Of course, it's cool if you can show it off on your Twitter or something. But
I think it's used.
If you worked on it, put them in there.
Unfortunately, I think it's used by scouts and recruiters out there. You've only completed a AAA release if you're in the credits of the game. I think that's one of the requirements of many application forms out there, and it is actively being used as such.
The buzzwords having shipped XYZ amount of titles.
Oh man, the amount of times I read that when I was still applying everywhere, like, oh, you have to ship 2 AAA games, you have to be in a leadership position for 10 years, and have been a game designer for 8, and is a junior, like leading a junior team. And it's like, okay, what is this app? Who can do this? What kind of person are you looking for? What is this?
Oh.
But
I mean,
I want to say one thing. Okay. Sorry.
Sure.
This is not what they're actually looking for. Everyone out there who has gotten a job, who knows how it is, this is just to already weed out people who are not motivated enough to even work there. So if you fulfill 9 out of 10 requirements and you don't apply, then dude, apply, right? Do it, because this is not a hardcore list. This is not checked off, and if you don't fulfill all 10, you're not being even considered. No, this is not how it works. You be yourself, and if you're impressive enough that they want to hire you and you do good work, then you will be hired, even if you don't fulfill all of them.
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay,
like
sorry.
They also super exaggerate oftentimes in the job offers. But you can't, I mean, there are a lot of people who can actually fulfill all of the requirements, but for new people starting out in the industry, of course, experience in some way is super important, but also your having the balls to make the move for actually applying for something also shows something about your work ethic and your attitude and your self-esteem and stuff like that you are, that you think yourself that you're capable, you can do it. And if you can't think yourself you can do it, then you're probably not a good fit for that job.
Yeah. So guys,
you are showing people that you are capable of pulling it off.
Last sentence, because we've the timer has run out. Believe in yourself, and it will be fine. Okay, it will be fine. Just be yourself and work hard. So
work hard is a good statement. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Thanks for listening. Please leave us a review anywhere, iTunes, wherever. Come to the Discord, send us a message, feedback, anything. We'd be happy to.
Any feedback is appreciated.
As always,
you can this podcast better.
Yeah, exactly. As always, you can find us at Industry Idiots on Instagram and at Idiots Industry on Twitter, and somewhere there you will also find our website and the Discord and the Patreon. So thank you.
So
goodbye.
Weird that somebody has stolen the Twitter handle already, and it's a account.
Yeah, it's a dead account, and we applied to get the handle, but we didn't get the handle. Ah, feels bad.
Damn it.
But okay.
Alright.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.